Hi, my name's Dean, and today's project I'm going to be making a wood project for a soap maker. She needs a log splitter, and I've made one for myself, and you might have seen it on one of my videos that I've uploaded already. I'm now using this from the slabs that I make, and it really does help out. Now I've set mine at 5.5 centimeters, but she needs hers at a different height. So in this project, I've got some pine wood. This is 50 centimeters long, which is the same as the original one. I've also got some pine wood. It's 89 millimeters by 19 millimeters, and this is 1.8 meters long. There's only a little bit left because I made the slab with it. And we're going to use this to make these parts here to hold the wire. I am using this wire as the wire cutter itself. You can get these at most music shops. You can get them thicker. This one is 0.013. The other one that I've got is 0.018. I chose this one because this one seems to be working, but I'll include a spare one for her anyway, just in case it breaks. So the other thing we're going to need is this guitar peg. This is a simple guitar peg. I got it off eBay. I think it was around about $3. And that's this part down here. And that just tightens the wire. So you turn it and the wire tightens. There's also a couple of other little things like these eye hooks that the wire goes in. You can see the wire comes out at the 5.5 centimeters, goes down to that, and then off to the guitar peg. Now on the other side of mine, I've got the eye hook, but it just goes to a screw that I've screwed in to the wood. And I don't feel that that's acceptable, so I'm going to have to find a solution so that the wire can be changed at any time. So let's get started. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to want to do is to find the center of our board. So in this case, it's 50 centimeters. We're going to find the center, which is 25. And there's probably handyman and woodworking guys out there that could do a better job than this. So whatever works for you. Okay, so there's our center. Okay, so I'm going to use this ruler because it's exactly 1 inch and draw a faint line. And I know that that line now is where the piece of wood will go. Now I'm going to have to cut the wood to go in here, and I've got to try and figure out how long I want it. I'm probably going to make it, I'd say about 15 centimeters long. So this piece here is going to have to be 15 centimeters long, and I'm going to need 2 of them. So I'll cut that and I'll be back in a second. Okay, so just so you know, that is 15 centimeters long. Okay, and then there's 2 of them. So there's one mark there, and another one here, and I'm going to cut these now. Okay, so now that I have my wood cut, I've actually used 4 pieces rather than 2. These pieces are 15 centimeters long. I believe they are 8.9 centimeters high. 2 on this side, 2 on this side, and the ruler is the width of the wire that sits in between them. So they will sit like that. I'll glue these together, and then once I've done that, I can take the ruler out, and that would be the width of the wire. I've also got these 2 little bits that I've made up, very homemade, but they do the job. They're 8.9 centimeters tall, and they will sit on the side for the wire to come down on. So the wire sits on 7.9 centimeters, which is the height of the customer's soap that she wants to cut. So there's 2, 1 for each side. But before I can do the gluing, I have to drill some holes on the other side of this. So basically I'll mark out where the pieces of wood go, and then I'll drill 2 holes in each one on this piece of wood, so that when I flip it over, I can put the screw straight into the wood. It sounds complex, doesn't it? Okay, so now I've made my marks, and they're 4.5 centimeters from each end. So I've got 2 ideas where I can put holes to put the screws. Okay, to put the screws in, I'm going to be using a size 2 drill. Put wood down or something down underneath, so when the screw does go through, you're not actually going through your tabletop. Okay, so I'm just doing one hole just to show you. So I've got one hole drilled here. So this is the bottom of the actual splitter. And when I put the screws in here, I want them to be completely flush. I don't want the screws to be hanging out slightly. So I'm going to change the screw piece over to this one, which is a 6.5. And then I'm going to drill this hole, but only a little bit down. It only has to go a little bit down. That should be enough, just for the screw to fit in there. Now I'm going to go and do the rest of them, and I'll be back in just a minute. Okay, so I've done a test drill, and I've got all my holes placed in, and this is a test one, and as you can see, that's flush. It's not hanging out at all. And if I didn't do that, then the little head on this screw would be hanging out of the wood like so. So it's important to do this, otherwise you're going to scratch your table every time you move it. Before I do that, there is actually one more important thing that I need to consider here, and that's where am I going to put the guitar piece and how am I going to have this placed? So which way is it going to go? This is going to be my guitar peg down in this corner. So I'm just going to put a G. I'm going to have screw eyes, which are these. So I'm also going to have one of these on each side, so I can hold the wire in place, and they'll go in there and there. So I've got to drill those holes now, because if I put this piece of wood up, there's no way I can get the drill straight in. So I'm going to have to drill those holes now so that I can put these eyepieces in. The wire comes up here underneath on this side and then up over the top. So we'll have this piece and it will come up in between that and over the top. Okay, so this is the PVA glue that I'm using. It's for woodworking. It's only a tiny little bottle. It's like 50 mils, but that's all I need it for. You don't need a lot of this because you're going to screw it in anyway. Okay, so I'm just making sure everything's level and they're all lined up against each other. So when the glue hardens, then everything's flush. When she slides the soap through, it's not gonna catch on the edges here. Okay, and then this piece here slides up and down. So I know that the wire is not gonna get caught. So now I've just gotta wait for that to set. I can turn it over and put the screws in, and then fix up some other little bits and pieces. So when the screw was in there, it had no chance for the wire to bend up. So I've had to move it a bit further out. So just take into consideration where you actually put that. 8 mil from the edge would probably be fine if you were going to follow these instructions. And I did the same to the other side. It looks a little horrible, but it works. So now when the wire comes through, it will go over the top of the resin, which is the exact height that she wants to cut this at, and when it's tightened it will be perfectly at that level. So the next thing we've got to do is screw all these together. Now they're all glued, but nothing's actually screwed together. Now here is the problem that I faced when I first did this. If I just screw that in without pre-drilling this, because this is not drilled yet, it's drilled from this side into this bit but not into here. If I just put the screw straight in, there's a very good chance that this wood will pop out because it's only been held in by PVC glue. So I'm going to have to pre-drill all these holes again, and then I can screw it in. So now the holes came through inside the wood. Okay, so I'm just going to take my screw now, and this is 4 centimeters, so 40 millimeters. Okay, so off to do the rest of them, and then I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so I've got this tiny little sinker that the wire is going to go through, and I'm just going to drill a hole at the top. Okay, now there is a little tiny hole that goes right through. So here is a guitar wire that I'm going to be using So I'm just going to thread this through. Perfect. I'll drill a hole into this piece of wood here and I'll glue the sinker in so that this will sit flush like so. And therefore, when the wire needs to be changed, it just slips back through. Okay, now I've upgraded to a bigger tip, which is actually the size that I need to make this happen. What I'm going to do is just drill a little tiny bit and then put the sinker in and see how far I have to go. So a little bit more, a little bit more, just a tad more. Perfect. It's just sitting there enough for the wire to come through to the hook. Okay, so now I'm gonna glue this in. Okay, so to give you an example, this is not glued in just yet, but here's the guitar wire. It comes along to the eye screw and then comes up to the resin, goes across and down the other side to exactly the same as on this side. The problem I'm finding is that this wire coming up over the resin is actually now higher, and if I leave it like this, the wire may be compromised with this sharp edge on this side. So I think what I've got to do is cut a little mark, maybe 45 degrees from this side of the resin downwards. So like a little groove for the wire to actually go up. Rather than it go up and go across, it just needs to have like a gradual. And I'm going to have to do the same on the other side. I'm sure there's other ways of doing this though. Okay, so I've used a tiny little file and I've just made a groove. So it comes up and it goes into that groove and then it can come flush across the top. I'll have two of them, one on each side. Just dab a little bit on the end there, drop it straight in. Make sure the hole is facing the right way. For this one, it's 30 minutes bond time. The max bond time is 16 hours. Okay, so we're almost done. The last piece that I need to do is put this on the bottom underneath here so that it's a brace for the edge of the table. So if I bring it back here and it sits underneath the table here, so it braces up against the table. So when you slide your soap through it, you're not actually moving. This is not sliding across the table with it. So I might not have shown you this, but I drilled this hole and put the guitar peg in there, and it's attached at the bottom with 2 screws. Okay, so the last thing that we need to do, we're going to add this wire. This model, it's 13, it's a guitar wire. You can get it in any music shop. You can also get an 18 if you want, but I find that the 13 works fine. It's nice and thin, while the 18 is a little bit thicker and probably a little bit harder to move around these parts. So now it starts down here, it goes through the other side, and it ends up in the guitar pick. So we're going to take these, and that's it. Once that's tightened, it should be perfect. You just got to cut this little piece off down here at the right length, and you're all done. I'll come back with the actual final working design in just a minute. Okay, one slab splitter finished. Now, this is not a perfect design, obviously, but you know what? It's functional. If you can afford to buy one of the ones on like Etsy or one of the soap supply shops, then go for it. But if you're looking to maybe save a couple of dollars, so you're probably looking at around about $15, maybe $20 to make this. If you do like this video, please give me a thumbs up. I would love you to smash that like button. If you've got any questions, throw them in the comments below. I'm more than happy to answer any questions regarding this. And thanks for watching.